Hello, everyone. I'm Colin, Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by John Clark tonight to talk about WWE NXT 2.0 on a Tuesday. John, how you doing?
How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. It's been the show in a nutshell was okay, but then after the ending we saw, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. How about you?
About the same. NXT these days have made it abundantly clear. Not the most, or not the enjoyable viewing experience that it necessarily once was for me, but we're here to talk all about it. There was some stuff that I liked. There was some stuff that I really didn't like. So end result somewhere in between the two of those things. I don't know exactly where I fall yet, but we'll talk all about it. Before we do, just want to remind you all that this show, like everything we do here, is available on all of our streaming platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. I don't even remember how the show started, John. I'm just that. Oh yes, of course. So LA Knight comes out and he gets top star treatment. He arrives in the parking lot and he feels like a big deal, which is good. I thought that he should have been kind of pushed like that from the get go, and at that points he was the $1 million champion, and he had a pretty good run here and there. But and then I'm not trying to contradict myself. Last week I was saying, oh, he's back, and they're acting like it's a big deal. I'm just saying, like, at least now they're clearly kind of rolling with it and trying to really kind of give him that spotlight, which is good. As one might expect, calls out Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller has a restraining order, says you can't touch me. If you do, you get arrested. I feel like we're going to see that at some point. And then Knight says, "All right, I won't touch you, but this guy will." And it's Dexter Loomis. Dexter Loomis, the master of suspense and creepiness, crawls up behind Waller. Fun visual there. And literally, Waller has to choose between a rock and a hard place, or in this case, a Dexter and a Knight, I guess. And he winds up facing Dexter. Pretty good match. Not gonna nothing to complain about, at least. But then, out of nowhere, this mountain of a man shows up, and it's Sarav. After some quick research, they didn't name him on commentary, but this was Sarav. Pronunciation to be determined, but formerly one half of Indus with fan favorite star Veer. I forgot his former name, but the artist now known as Veer. Before they split up, they were in a tandem together. Then they broke up. Veer is coming to Raw eventually. He's been coming for a while now, but Sarav has not been. He has not had the same luxury in that sense. So he helped Grayson Waller win. Grayson calls him his insurance policy. So it feels like this is very much an AJ Styles almost kind of thing, but not a bad not a bad way to bring Sarav back to the spotlight here. But right off the bat, Brian saying LA Knight reminds him of The Rock, and he has that it factor. And I mean, in a way, yeah, he's just that comfortable, that charismatic on the mic. I would agree, he's definitely got that it factor. I've always liked him a lot. I've wanted to see big things for him on NXT. But John, what are you thinking about this opening chunk here with Waller, Knight, Sarav, any of it?
Yeah, regardless of Walter being an unlikable character, he's been a highlight of NXT 2.0. Uh, I guess he's earned himself a bodyguard. I guess I don't even know how you pronounce his name. Swarov?
Maybe, I don't
I
know.
don't know, but I think he fits the role pretty well. The match itself was pretty good. Uh, I don't know. Loomis for some reason didn't really feel like he fit in to me. For some reason, I think he needs like a new rival that he might better fit in with, both storyline wise and in the ring. Not really too much else to write home about here. Just continuing to kind of build Waller up here.
Yeah, I would agree. I've said it many a time here. I'm a big fan of Dexter Loomis. I hope that he gets his own storyline. Because I would agree here, he was kind of the odd man out. He was just lumped in. Um, I guess for convenience, he was kind of a big scary guy that could you know, do something or fill the role in this case, take that loss, unfortunately. Nesha, couldn't agree more. She sent Sheamus's index. I know John won't agree, but yes, it was a little weird. Even just a 2-second thing of singing backstage. No Dexter and Indy on screen tonight when they're both on the show together. I mean, seemed a little odd, but we can fill in the context ourselves. Until the day they actually break up or anything. In my mind, in my head canon, they'll always be together forever and ever. Steven's saying Waller here getting another win, so maybe he'll quickly be in the title picture. I mean, I think they might be building up to that at some point. Talk about the title picture in a minute, but I feel like they're definitely gonna get there probably sooner rather than later because he's beating everybody. He didn't beat AJ Styles, but he looked good against him. He held his own in that match. Now he beat Dexter. He's beat many other people. So gotta imagine that's gonna come in. We've got several comments about Walter or Gunther apparently. Don't you worry, we'll talk all about that. Don't want to get too try not to jump around too much. So that was the main event. We want to save that for a little later. But there really wasn't a whole lot to dig into the show overall, so don't worry, we won't take too long to get there. One thing that definitely was noteworthy, John, was the beginning of the 2022 Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Now, the brackets were shared over the weekend, and I immediately thought, wow, this is a pretty weak field this year. I mean, you've got MSK, good team. You've got Legado, good team. You've got Grizzly Veterans, good team. Jacket Time, good team, horrible name. Talented people, horrible team name, horrible gimmick. Same thing goes for Grizzly Veterans with their like weird thieves kind of thing they've got going. But we do know based on the brackets, they'll be facing MSK next week. But we did see two first round matchups here tonight. So it was the Creed brothers versus Josh Briggs. Damn it, John, I can't do it. Briggs and Jensen. I'm going to say your last names. Briggs and Jensen. There you go. And they had a brief kind of clip for the Dusty Cup here. Every team got a little gimmick. Briggs and Jensen, their gimmick is that they love country music. And John, I hate country music. So I see that. I'm like, sorry. Me personally, as an individual person, I just see that. I'm like, sorry, I can't do it. And it's not just that, okay? Even after their loss, they were like, all right, I think it was Briggs who's like, all right, well, men take a setback and they get stronger from it. And I'm like, man, the combination of the two, especially, there's these like tough guys, like it doesn't work for me. Thankfully, though, they lost. So they're out of the Dusty Cup here. The Creed brothers won in this case. Good. I think they've got a lot of potential. DJ Puneas, just remember the last names. I'll get less straight up if you remember the last names. Maybe unlike WWE, we'll go chopping off the last name. We'll go the other way around. We'll chop off the first name, avoid confusion. But I was very glad the Creed brothers won, and later in the show, we had Legado facing Malik Blade and Idris Anufa. Now, we were asked last week, could we see Malik Blade and Idris like going all the way? Because I think they picked up a win or something, or something like that. And I was like, no, they're not going to win the whole tournament. But, John, they beat Legado del Fantasma tonight because Braun Breaker interfered after and literally carried Santos Escobar away to stop him from interfering. So now there's at least a realistic possibility that they will do the ultimate underdog story of Malik and Idris pulling off the upset because they won tonight. And then later in the show, they're like, well, who do you want to face, MSK or Jacket Time? I guess that's the way that the brackets will shake out. And they're like, oh, it doesn't even matter because we're going to go all the way. And actually, there is a part of me thinks that they might. Now, that remains to be determined. But no, we do know next week it will be MSK and Jacket Time. So before we talk about the match for next week, how about these first two, the quarterfinal matches we saw tonight?
So, first of all, I'll say that the Dusty Cup will probably have predictable winners, as far as the quarterfinals anyway. But I think the highlight of this needs to be making each match mean something, have everybody kind of build up better to look good here. The Creed brothers continue to impress more and more. Briggs and Jensen were just kind of there to kind of make them like look like they were giving them a challenge, which, okay, fair enough. They did somewhat. And then we get to the other match here, and I was surprised by the outcome. And then Braun Breaker gets involved, possibly. I'm guessing Breaker versus Escobar is probably going to be the next feud. So I guess Breaker is supposed to be a baby face, I would assume.
Yeah.
That's a little weird there with the 2.0, 1.0 stuff, but. Escobar needs to look like a serious challenger. I think he does look like a serious challenger. But I don't know. At this point, based off of the winners we've seen tonight, on the west side of the bracket, I am pretty convinced that Jacket Time will reach the finals. And on the other side, I don't know. There's something to be said about grizzled young veterans making the finals a third time in a row and losing a third time in a row.
No.
However, I am convinced that it's gonna be Jacket Time versus either the Creed brothers or Grizzled Young Veterans. One of those two. Creed brothers, I could see probably winning at this point, but I got to give it up to Jacket Time. I think Jacket Time could have a chance here to win and then challenge for the tag championships and go. They're gonna go all the way, all the way.
Yet again, a lot of our wonderful viewers here are agreeing. That's just saying she's picking Jacket Time. Michael pointing out, he's saying that I jinxed Jacket Time, saying so much of Jacket Time winning. We had it going, but I jinxed it. But obviously, last week, a lot of you were predicting Jacket Time. That was before we saw the brackets and the full reveal of the teams. I think the teams were announced on Saturday. The bracket was announced on Sunday this past weekend. So now we have a much more firm idea about obviously who's in the tournament and the road forward here, at least for prediction's sake. We couldn't even predict like exactly what's going to happen. Now we know at least who's in it and who they're going to face. And we saw that start to unfold tonight. Steven saying whoever wins between MSK and Jacket Time will ultimately win the tournament. Seems like a pretty safe bet to me. Another one here.
Absolutely.
Another one here with Eddie saying it'll be MSK Creed Brothers in the final. Johnny will just pick Jacket Time, Creed Brothers. It seems like some pretty common picks here. Steve Chambers going Diamond Mine. Maybe thinking they're the baby faces at this point. Brian saying if it's not Girls Young Veterans, he likes Creed Brothers. So we're seeing some just like people have different horses in this race, different people to root for. DJ saying the Creed brothers will go to the finals. Harmon saying hope MSK wins. So like people are interested. People are caring about this. It's just, to me, it's interesting because the field is lighter than usual. It's like I don't look at any of these teams and I don't like. Okay, obviously MSK is established. Legado was, now they're out. I think they could build the Creed brothers with this tournament, but like. I feel like in years past that I've been more excited about it, and maybe that's more of a reflection on NXT at this point. But more support for MSK. That ironically, even though they've been these sources of some criticism before, they are getting some support here. DJ saying that the team of Andre Chase and Body Hayward or whatever it is, they're facing Grizzled Veterans next week. I feel like that'll be kind of an easy out in that sense. More support for Jacket Time. So people seem to be rallying behind Jacket Time and the Creed Brothers. Brian saying that the Creed Brothers are very over. Saw them tonight. They look pretty good. Michael saying he wants Jacket Time to win, but they shouldn't pit them against MSK in the first round. That's tough. Now, see, I see that, and I think that's an easy out for Jacket. For I should say an easy out for MSK, meaning an easy win for them. But I feel like again, people are rallying around Jacket Time, so you never really know. DJ protecting the Creeds and the Jacket Time with a Jacket Time upset. Kevin Taylor, people are just loving Jacket Time, and I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. Now, I do want to mention that after Briggs and Jensen lost, I mentioned a minute ago they were backstage, and I think Briggs again says like, okay, oh well, we lost, but real men, take losses and get tougher. And then Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter come up, and they say, well, so you lost, that's okay. Let's go party anyway. It doesn't matter. Like, let's have a good time. Just like what I know this is WWE and wins and losses don't matter, but come on, man, like that's the same night they lost. If it was the next week, it'd be like, okay, you took a week to kind of sulk or be sad about it, but now it's time to move on. No, this was, I think, just a couple segments later, and they were backstage and they just, oh, Brian, we have to disagree on this one, my friend. He's saying the Briggs and Jensen segment was good. I thought this was objectively bad. So I'm saying, again, they're saying wins and losses don't matter. Then, so that's what Casey and Kate were there. Then Wendy Chu, NXT's resident napper, is on top of the lockers, sleeping, kind of. And then she says, I can't even get their names straight, so let alone get them separate, individuals. One of them, Briggs and Jensen, supposedly likes maybe Caden. I think it was Caden. And Wendy's like, oh, I think he likes her. I think he likes her. And he was like, no, I don't. She's like, yes, you do. John, what kind of like middle school BS is this? We're like, come on, man. These are adults. This is supposed to be okay, not a serious program. I get that. All right. But come on. This I did not like this at all.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said, so I really don't have a whole lot to add because I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't know, it's been regressing. This whole thing has been regressing.
All of it. All of it. And that's the thing she likes Wendy. Steven saying that Wendy cracks him up every time she's sleeping on top of the lockers. And that's just saying we're getting another love story. I mean, we saw what happened with the last one. We had Elektra and Zion Quinn, and ultimately none of it mattered because they just wound up exactly where they started. They didn't wind up together, and I understand that doesn't always happen. DJ saying NXT has turned into a soap opera. I like to think of it more as a cartoon. A lot of these characters are pretty much cartoon characters these days. Briggs and Jensen, country dudes that like country music. If not cartoon characters, just very flat stereotypes, or at least very just very simplistic characters in that sense. There are exceptions, obviously, but by and large, look at that. Then we saw later a vignette for Saray, and her new gimmick is this like schoolgirl with superpowers, maybe thing. I'm like, oh, come on, man! This woman is like one of the best wrestlers in the women's wrestling world here, and now they're giving her this cartoon wrestling gimmick here.
Anime.
Anime, yes, anime. That is
You know what that one makes me do? Do you know what that one makes me want to do?
What's that,
You
John?
know. You know.
No,
You
spell
know.
it out for our wonderful viewers here.
You know, sometimes I'm watching the show, I look over on the counter, I see that toaster just sitting there plugged in, and I'm like, they're really testing me tonight with this because they they used to have, without a doubt, the best female division in wrestling, period. The main roster women's division has been going downhill. They're losing bodies. It's so bad. And then you get to like the point where the NXT women's division is basically like also a joke. So I've compiled this with me with a toaster in the bathtub. And you know,
Oh,
it's hard. Do you not agree that it's hard to
it is hard.
watch
Is
that
it toaster time for me?
compared to what it's used to compared to
Oh,
what it
100%.
used to be?
100%. Compared to what it used to be, it's toaster's time all the time these days, my friend. Um, oh, it's not good. It's not good. Herman saying WWE has been a soap opera since the 80s. This is different. All right. It's like in some ways, the elements of a soap opera are always there. Okay, I understand. You think of the mega powers, the great, like one of the greatest ways of all time. Yeah, that was a romance and a friendship gone sour and all these things. Like, of course, this is a soap opera meets a cartoon meets a I don't know a teenage drama thing. I don't even know. Brian saying NXT 2.0 has ruined the women's division, and there are steps they could do to fix that. Eddie's saying there are reports that this was from Fightful. The WWE is interested in signing the former Ring of Honor Women's Champion Roxy. She had a tryout, and as someone that's a fan of hers, I kind of think, oh, cool, good for her. Then the large part is also like, no, stay far, far away. Go somewhere else where you'll be much, much happier and better off. Go somewhere else where you'll not risk getting fired in 4 months, as we saw with Taya Valkyrie, many others. Like, it's bad. It is very tough. It is toaster time.
Yes, you agree. You agree.
I can't disagree. DJ saying that Saray has turned into Kairi Sane minus the ass kicker. Yeah. And the problem is I can't even say that I trust them to do right by that gimmick because I'm not trying to turn it into a race thing. But you think of, Asuka has had some success, but Kairi Sane kind of flamed out.
I need to real quick interrupt you and point you to a tweet by one of my favorite superstars, Alexa Bliss.
Is
She
this the
tweeted,
let it play out thing?
yes, she tweeted
Yes.
11 hours ago, and I quote, "Sometimes you just need to be patient and see how things play out." And before I let you go, um, I just gotta point out some of my favorite replies here. One, which has the most likes. Last time we heard this, Keith Lee got released. Check. Um, They
Karrion
also pointed
Kross.
out that the last time they said that, Karrion Kross was ruined with a mask. And the last one, Aleister Black starting a program with Big E and being released the next day as well. So Alexa Bliss saying sometimes you need to let it play out. A track record of letting things play out has not been successful. And as my good friend Luke would say, the booking. The booking it has not been great, and Alexa Bliss is, I get, sticking up for herself because I think this is obviously a different scenario. She's proven to be successful. She's proven to be a champion, but this goes back to NXT, and we're here already judging this, saying, "Hey, whatever, whatever, whatever. It's not going to work. Maybe we should let it play out." But then again, like Sean says, she's cashing those WWE checks, so who knows?
I did point out it's fair to assume that Alexa will not get released,
I
but you know,
wouldn't
you
assume
really
anything.
never know at this point. Like you can't even. As much as I would think she's probably safe, she's very, very talented. She's been one of their top stars for quite a while.
And while we're talking about the women's division, we might as well point out the other comment that was pointed out by Eddie, saying that there was a big internal push, as Fightful reported today, that probably without a doubt, I would say maybe the top independent uh, female superstar. Of course, there's other names out there, but the Fightful had specifically heard that Roxy, is that how you say it?
Yep.
Roxy. Was it WWE tryouts performed very well. The company was pushed to sign her, but obviously they didn't. And now that she's kind of back on the market, what are your brief thoughts about the possibility of bringing her in, whether it be NXT? I mean, she's only 19, like Eddie points out, just like Cora Jade is 21. What are your thoughts about this potential signing? And if you were to sign, what would you do? Would you go right to NXT? Like, how would you kind of approach all that? It doesn't seem like you want her to go there because you're probably thinking they're going to ruin it, but I want to get your thoughts nonetheless.
Well, I will say I had the opportunity to interview her in May when the Ring of Honor was doing the women's tournament there. She has such an incredible story. Eddie pointed out that she's still young. She's 19. If I remember correctly, she started training when she was 11, and her first match was when she was 13. So she has just such an amazing story. She's come such a long way already. And the fact that she is only 19, I think bodes very well for her. I look at that report of them having interest, and I think that's great. Like it's great that they would be interested. And apparently, they're pushing hard to sign her. So of course, like I think on paper that's a very good thing. I think if this were 2 years ago, if this was NXT of old, I would be like, oh, 100% all the way, do the program, sign, spend a year, maybe 2 years there, come up, would be in theory set up a success, and there you go. Now, I don't know. I don't want to see Roxy get strapped with this, or anybody for that matter. Like many people that I'm a fan of outside WWE, I've struggled to genuinely say, oh yes, I want them to sign here, and in theory, go to NXT, get strapped with a cartoon like gimmick, and poor booking likely. And then again, the thought that they might get released anyway, whereas they could go to, not just saying with Roxy, Impact, AEW is an option. The wrestling world is booming right now. If Roxy signs, I will be happy for her in that sense, because I think we are definitely, I would still say, in a generation of everybody grows up wanting to go to WWE. That's going to take years to really go away. We're starting to see that kind of shift a little bit. Then of course everyone wants, like there's still that idolization, that goal to go WWE if you're a wrestler, of course. I just worry that it would not really work out. Not a knock on her at all. She is very, very, very talented. I think she's great. I think she would be just maybe better off going elsewhere, because it's a risk. It's a risk coming here with everything in mind here. I will say on the flip side, with 2.0 here, Eddie pointing out that NXT they are leaning younger, building young talent for the future. Roxy being 19, she in theory would be set up to be a top star for years if it works out, if it goes well. Brian saying she could get the Cora Jade treatment. I like that comparison. Granted, I think her booking could be better, but I do think that the comparison is a good one. DJ saying that Roxy could bypass NXT, go straight to the top.
A little young, I think.
Yeah, I think especially even though she's already been training for several years, I think they had Taya Valkyrie go to NXT. Someone that had been wrestling. I think this year is her 12th year. So um, to learn the TV system that they do, to learn the style they do. Roxy's been on TV with Ring of Honor. She's trained by Booker T. He has a wrestling televised wrestling show. But I wouldn't think they would want her to bypass. This is all purely hypothetical. We do not know that they are signing her, but if they do, I would think she'd go to NXT, and I would think that she like most other people at this point that they bring in would take a little bit of time to kind of get acclimated there. But yeah, if in a nutshell, if she signs, I'll be happy for her because I think she's very talented. But I definitely would have that kind of skepticism based on what we've seen with many other people. So I think it'd be good for her. I think it'd be good for WWE because what we were talking about, that they do have maybe a problem here where the women's division maybe a little lacking here compared to where it used to be. We did see Mandy Rose, the champion, attack Kaylee Ray. Then that led to a brawl with Toxic Attraction, Kaylee Ray, Persia Prada, and Indy Hartwell. Set up a 6-woman tag for next week. Obviously, Mandy and Toxic Attraction are the champions. So that would likely set up 2 title matches if they wind up doing like a February St. Valentine's Day kind of whatever Vengeance Day kind of thing in February, even if it's a TV special or whatever. Feels likely at this point because tonight they really did kind of pave the way for several title matches. Those 2 we had. Jumping right in here, Eddie Zahari saying Tony D'Angelo for NXT North American title. Well, Tony D held a memorial service for Pete Dunne. Bid him adieu. Obviously, we've seen Pete Dunne has been on Main Event. I think the past 2 weeks he's been doing dark matches. Seems to suggest he'll be getting called up at some point soon. And so Tony beat him in the classic crowbar and a pole match last week. So he had this memorial service for him, not a funeral service, a memorial service. I guess in theory honoring his legacy. And then he made it clear that just as he has a gold chain around his neck, he wants a gold title around his waist. So with that in mind, he wants to be the NXT North America champion. That brought out the champion Kamala Hayes, and he said, the next memorial service is going to be yours. Like, don't step up to me. Cameron Grimes comes out yet again, 2020 to the moon, and saying that he wants to be the champion. Obviously, connecting the dots, we will see Cameron Grimes and Tony D facing off next week. The winner will face Kamala Hayes, and again, they didn't name the time and place, but I have to think a lot of these title matches getting teased tonight. My prediction would be that we probably will see some kind of TV special event in February of some sort. Vengeance Day being maybe a little likely or something up to that effect. But John, if you had to guess here, Grimes, Tony D, at least as a contender for Kamala Hayes here, which way are you leaning?
Oh boy. I don't know. I think it's unlikely that the one-on-one match will be anytime soon. I think this was just a tease for now, if I had to guess. Especially with Trick involved and throwing his shots as well. D'Angelo's just kind of learning from the veterans. Cameron Grimes will be up next there, so I think he'll continue to look strong. I'm not convinced this will be a feud that we see very soon, though. But if we did, I'd probably go with. I don't know. I'd say Carmelo Hayes would hold on to it for now.
Against either guy?
Yeah.
So?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's fair. Brian's saying Tony D needs to get pushed. Nesha saying that Grimes is the title match, so we're seeing some support for both guys. Steven saying he would like to see Cameron going to the moon, next North American champion, could get a triple threat match. I think that's possible. We might get some shenanigans next week. Maybe not. It's neither one and it's both. Maybe it's a triple threat match and they draw it out like that. If that's the case, I think it would be a very fun match. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I think either way, it'd be a good feud, a good storyline for Camelo and whoever's involved, whoever winds up, if one of them wins, I think it'll be good. DJ's saying it's Tony's or D'Angelo's time to shine. I mean, yeah, I thought as I think I may have mentioned last week, I thought he's kind of cooled off a little bit, not in the ring. He beat Dunne, had some other, I think he beat Loomis at some point. So he's winning matches, looking good. But I thought at first people really rallied around him and then people kind of like cooled off a little bit. This we come back. It was either a commercial or another segment, and this like sad Italian funeral music is playing in the ring. He's got a casket, and he's saying, "This is the closed casket memorial for Pete Dunne." again, pouring one out for his NXT career. With that in mind, DJ's asking if we think that Dunne's going to be at the Rumble. They literally held his funeral, in as many words, tonight on the NXT. So I have to think he's probably not coming back. I think like that's to me pretty telling, pretty symbolic at least of that it's the just as the NXT Black and Gold era ended. I think this may have been the end of Pete Dunne's era on NXT. The casket was there. Pete Dunne, Tony kind of bid him adieu, and that's all there really was to it. I have to think that we will see him in the Rumble, and I would have to think probably they're going to try him on main roster after that. That'd be my guess at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's moving up. I think the time has come. I'm excited to hopefully get to see him in the Rumble and be successful. I don't want to see him turn into this, I don't want to say jobber, but unutilized talent.
I mean, of course, you run the risk no matter what on the main roster there. You get called up, you do all you can do on NXT, and then, it's like very much a not even sink or swim situation, but because it's up to other people, really, but definitely not necessarily being set up for success. Nesh saying it's time for Dunne to be on the main roster. Brian saying he needed the North American, he needed the NXT title, but is happy for this supposed call up. I think it's overdue and well deserved. I think there's more. Again, I would probably agree that he could be or should have been North American champion, but I think at this point that ship has probably sailed. So I would agree it's probably time, just like it is probably for Ciampa as well. Again, end of an era, and now probably time to see what they could potentially do on main roster. And again, hoping that they do good things. Hopefully they're going to find success there. Anthony, with that in mind, wondering if we could see Dunne team up with Ridge Holland on SmackDown, and maybe even with Sheamus as well. Maybe. I don't really know. Obviously, do we know that Dunne and Holland had a brief kind of allegiance there? Feels like they're kind of doing their own thing with Holland and Sheamus on SmackDown. Dunne feels a little odd to me that they would try to kind of force something there. Could happen. I think that crazier things have happened, but one thing is for sure: if Dunne's in the Rumble, yes, I imagine he will break fingers in the Rumble match as he does. How many? Oh, he'll probably get a couple spots where he just goes around snapping fingers, doing what he does. Michael was saying, well, this could be fun. Dunne and Cesaro team up to face Sheamus and Uchanda. Well, apparently Cesaro's in a random team with Mansoor. Or no, was it Ricochet or is it Mansoor?
Mansoor.
Okay, so either way, a random tag team. So maybe, I guess in that case, a random tag team you can just as easily break up. So sure, bring Dunne up. Be a very, very good match. Two very good guys. There are worse ways to be on TV, to be featured in WWE. So why not? But yes, Ciampa probably, I would agree, will be in the Rumble as well. So something to look forward to there. We mentioned Sarav earlier on. There was two other returns, even briefly. Duke Hudson came back. He attacked. I guess two returns in this one itself. Duke Hudson came back to attack the returning Dante Chen and Guru Raj. I mean, yeah, Duke Hudson, he was mad. He should be mad because he wore a stupid wig, because everyone's a cartoon character these days. Dante Chen, I vaguely remember he had maybe one match, then I think he got hurt and he went away. So I thought he could have benefited from a win here, just kind of get him some momentum there. Instead, no, Duke Hudson attacked, and it feels like he'll be feuding with Dante Chen coming out of that. Feels like Duke Hudson's going to lose that one because he, I don't know. They had the whole video package for Dante Chen. It feels like they're going to try and make something of him. Should be fine. More feuds here. We know that Solo Sikoa will face Boa. Boy, that's confusing. And a no DQ match next week. I still don't know where that's going. I think Solo referenced the Bloodline tonight, so that was a little fun. Over to Easter egg for you there. But so I feel in general, I'm just not really clicking with a lot of these characters. And when it's a show that's defined by these characters, that does not bode well. Nesha thinks she's excited for Solo. I mean, he's on TV, he's doing good things, so that's good. We were talking of call-ups a minute ago. Someone who definitely should have been called up a while ago, John. Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai was on TV tonight in a match. There was a video package for Valentina Ferros and
Ulisa Leon?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah. I
don't
think
know.
that both performers have been on 205 Live lately. They're clearly trying to establish them ahead of the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which begins in February. So you would think that they might get a win over Dakota Kai. No, no, no. Dakota won. So the newcomers not off to the best of start here. They had a video package, a promo, a conversation with Dakota, then a match. Dakota, as you do with MSK, reminding them that success can often be the ultimate motivation for betrayal and heartbreak, and obviously that's what we saw with her and Raquel. So I like that kind of continuity. But boy, Dakota should have been out of here a while ago. Like I think as soon as they were kind of, at the very least, as soon as she wrapped up her feud with Raquel, she could have easily gotten called up. I think Raquel's gotten called up. But then we had a segment with Raquel and Corey Jade, where Cora pitched the idea of a tag team with Raquel for the Dusty Cup. And John, I said, you're telling me we're probably going to get an entire Can They Coexist team for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And that's going to go one of two ways. One of two ways. They're either going to win the first match by somehow coexisting barely, and then they'll be in the semifinals. So they're either going to make all the way to the finals, like somewhere on the way. They're not going to coexist because that's what they do. Like we know that like there's only so many ways they can do the same thing. I'd rather just not. You know, they're both fighting for it. They both want to be the next women's champion. That's the goal here. So I don't really know. Like Cora Jade, it's like, oh, it'd be cool to win the Dusty Cup. No, it'd be cool to be the champion. Granted, you could win the tag titles, but you know, or apples and oranges. What are you thinking about their potential partnership here in the Dusty Cup?
First of all, with the match tonight, I thought that NXT is just trying to put them over as potential threats. Dakota Kai obviously doesn't need to be there anymore, but she is. I don't really have an opinion on that. As far as like why, I do agree that she should be gone, but she's not. And then about this coexisting pairing, at this point, I have no idea who they're gonna put together and why and how long they're gonna coexist and if they're gonna win. It's a running gag internally, I'm sure at this point. They're just gonna keep doing it as we keep feeding them the enjoyment
Outrage.
or reaction of the yeah.
Yeah, it's what they do. DJ pointed out, yes, Raquel said no. She said, like, you know, she turned her down. They're gonna do it, man. They're gonna do it. Like they're gonna do the team and coexisting because they can't help themselves. Yeah, yeah. Steven saying that Raquel and Cora remind him of the Io Shirai and Zoe Stark not getting along thing. Yeah, this is what they do. There's a playbook, and they follow the playbook to a T. Well, some deviations here and there. Eddie pointing out maybe another team we could see someone who should have been caught up a long time ago. Io Shirai, still in NXT. Maybe she'll get paired up with Saray. I hate to say, but I hope not. You know, again, Saray has now got this like anime gimmick thing apparently, and like I don't really think that's. Granted, we saw like one very brief teaser for it tonight, but right off the bat, I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna work. Oh my gosh, John, it's just characters and I'm not like and the most talented people like aren't. It's weird. They're not cartoon characters, right? Io Shirai, Pete Dunne wasn't. You know, a lot of the other one, you know, people that have been kind of the core of NXT, they're not cartoon characters. So then now they're like commingling with cartoon characters, and it's a very weird thing. I don't know how to feel about it. Well, actually, I do. I don't really care for it, but John,
we
yet again, my mantra at this point: when NXT focuses on the wrestling, it's a pretty good show. So in the main event, advertised, we got Roderick Strong and Walter, and I was like, all right, silver lining. It's going to be a really good match. And it was. Walter started a holy blank chant with a chop because he's such a badass. He's a monster. He's a monster of a man. I think it was just last week they had announced that he would have his final stand on NXT UK. Naturally, a lot of us thought, hey, is he actually coming to NXT Prime to team with Imperium? It would appear to be the case. They had a brief promo backstage. Imperium were talking about how their goal of making the mat sacred and all these things as they do with subtitles. Well, one line stuff to me was basically they said all for one for all. So Imperium with the Three Musketeers. That's a very fun thing. You know, but I'm glad Walter. at least based on what we saw tonight, it looks like he's here. And I think that's a very good thing. I think he's great. We also had a promo from Malcolm Bivens to set this up. Now, over the weekend, digital exclusive Walter almost shoved Malcolm in a locker because he's a bully, I guess. Bivens is MVP. He's great. Roderick Strong, not afraid of Walter. Sets up the match. It's very good. We haven't really seen this before. Definitely not that I can recall. And it was very, very good. Two wrestlers, John, two wrestlers doing good things. So yes, Brian, it was a great match. I liked it a lot. That's thinking it was a good main event. So this was very good. I liked it a lot. In the end, yes, Walter won. Chops were had, power bombs, tossed Roderick around. Very good match. Got some time. Put him down with a power bomb because he's a big dude. I like this a lot. I thought this was very, very good. After the match, Walter grabs a mic, and what does he say? The winner of this match is Gunther, and he has a very heavy accent, but it was Gunther, or however you want to pronounce it. So I think they're changing Walter's name because reasons.
Well, yeah. So let me get into my thoughts about this because probably unsurprisingly, I have a different opinion than most other people. So it would appear that this is his final transition to a WWE full-time run, meaning that when you get the name change, like whatever. But has nobody considered the fact that Walter may not have given permission or may not have signed his name over to WWE? It's a possibility that Walter did not want to kind of, dare I say, give the rights to the Walter name, like we've seen so many people do before. So in that case, maybe they decided to switch the name to Gunther Stark. Of course, there's all kinds of controversy about, because God forbid more than one person.
I forgot. I didn't even connect those dots. Oh my gosh.
Because
No. Oh,
because
Walter, no.
because because God forbid more than one person has the same name. And for those of you that do not know, Gunther Stark is the name of a, dare I say, Nazi during World War II, a U-boat commander that operated in the English Channel. So yes, it was a captain lieutenant with the same name. Tonight we only heard the first name, but yeah, Colin did not connect the dots. I did when I first heard the name because I'd
I
heard the
forgot. I
story.
just overlooked that. Yeah.
So yeah, this Walter, who is also, ironically from overseas as well, has gotten this Nazi name that people are going to talk about. And look, I honestly think there's going to be a movement where people talk about this so much that they have to make a decision to change it maybe back to Walter. But I stand by what I say, that we cannot assume that they didn't want to use Walter and that he said, not that he said that he wasn't going to use it, but that he wouldn't release the rights to the name.
But John, NXT UK, it's a WWE brand. Like
Yeah, but
why would he use it there
that
but not here? Like what I don't understand. I see what you're saying, and it makes sense. Like I if that were the case, but he spent years on NXT UK. Walter, the dominant champion, no problem.
So yeah, I get that. But WWE's motto is this: if it ain't broke, we'll fix it. So the match was
Boy.
everything it promised to be. Strong, literally lifting up and then doing
Superplexing the
crazy
man.
things to
Yeah.
Walter. Diamond Mine versus Imperium could be very interesting. I think Imperium could maybe add a female member that would make it even more interesting. But the announcement will overshadow this to be concerning. And let me be completely honest with you right now. When he said the winner of this match, and then he said that, I didn't know what he said. I thought maybe he said Walter. I had no idea what he said until I looked
It took me
online.
a minute as well, but that
But
happened.
obviously, I mean, real quick, people have their takes here. I mean, DJ's already assuming that maybe he could dethrone Braun Breaker. I don't think he's even going to be on NXT that long. I think he will be to the main roster sooner than later. So
I said worst case. Worst case, he should be the guy that beats Breaker. Like if they don't want to call him up right away.
Herman commenting says Walter is going to be in AEW, not anytime soon, not anytime soon whatsoever. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. I thought the match was good. We'll see where it goes. Back to Alexa Bliss's. Let's let it play out
Let
and
it
see
play out.
I mean,
Um,
it would be kind of hard to backtrack on this now, but maybe they will and just like forget that ever happened. But also, the name change is kind of concerning for his chances of being promoted to the main roster because, like, if they were going to change his name, you think they would have waited until he
right,
came to the
right.
main
I would
roster.
agree.
But
A+ comment from Anthony here. So he's saying, so Walter is Gunther, Fabian and Marcel are now Chandler and Joey. Chef's kiss for the Friends reference, my friend. That is wonderful. Um, I first saw that the Gunther, the coffee barista or whatever you want to say from Friends. That's the only Gunther that I know. Now just pointing out that they changed Piper Niven, NXT UK star previously, to Dewdrop.
which I guess they did have the right to the Piper name, right? They're
I
the one that
thought so.
created
It should,
that.
should have been that. Like that. That's
Yeah,
my
I don't know.
opinion.
Maybe they just have a different group of people to create the names for NXT UK versus
Maybe.
over in the main roster. The only thing that I'm happy about is that Gunther is not all capital letters. Walter was all capital letters, and so many times you're typing an article and you forget to capitalize every word in Walter, just like Kushida, and it's like,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
what did you
mean,
think? I mean, all of this aside, basically, if you can get it out of your memory, what happened the last 2 minutes of the show, what would you rate the show?
let's hold the phone. We gotta get some more comments here. Brian saying when the main event was good, they didn't have to touch Walter's name. I would agree. We're going all the way here. Eddie's saying that Walter's going to dethrone Roman Reigns. Hey, that could happen in the Royal Rumble for all we know. It could be Seth Rollins. We can't. We have to again as Alexa said, just let it play out and see what happens. Steven saying maybe we'll move all of Imperium, all of Gunther, Joey, and Chandler to the main roster. I like this from Michael saying, why not go with Walter, the alternative English name? That would make more sense. That would be better. And they didn't. So I don't know what's up with this Gunther thing. Gonna have to let it play out for now. That's just saying that Walter's English isn't good. That's why he said it. I don't know what the motive here is. It's not what it's Walter, like, unless people heard him that incorrectly, and it didn't sound like Walter to me, even with like he has a strong accent. I understand that. But yeah, I think this was good. It was a good main event. I liked it a lot. But we're gonna try and let it play out, okay? Because it was a very good match. It was a strong start. It was a strong close to the show. Again, when NXT focuses on the wrestling, it at least that part of the show is still a good show. When they don't, you get stuff like the Briggs and Jensen thing that just like was objectively bad to me and took me out of the show and was made me say, "Wow, this is not good." But John, you had asked take away the last 2 minutes because I didn't like freak out. I thought it was weird. I was like or unnecessary to change Walter's name. I didn't like again at the time I just overlooked the Gunther. I saw that report earlier and I saw the connection to the very controversial name, to say the least. And I was covering the show, covering other news. I just was frazzled and I overlooked it. So now they mentioned that, I'm like, oh, that's not good. But maybe, other than that, Miss Like and How's the Play. I want to rate the show like highly for a very good main event. There were things I liked. I liked the directions for again the teases for these title matches. I like having direction, even if I don't exactly love it. I just like knowing where we're going. And in this case, I did. I like the idea of Braun and Santos. I like the idea of Carmelo and maybe Cameron and Tony D. I think that's pretty fun. So I guess if it all evens out, I will go for like a 6.5. I would give the main event itself like an 8, and discounting the end of the name change. But John, how about you? As we get some thoughts from the viewers here.
I would also go with a 6.5. Without the main event, probably like a 5.5. So it did bump it up a point, but it wasn't extraordinary enough for me to bump it up and even higher than that.
I might even be a little generous with my 6.5, but it was a very good main event. I do want to credit it for that. So we got a 6.5 again here from Nesha, another 6.5 from Brian, 7.5 from Steven, saying he likes the main event and happy. Yes, so I think, Steven, you mentioned earlier, John, the best thing about tonight, maybe other than the great main event, no Von Wagner. So as much as they worried me last week, they played to my emotions. They suspended him. They brought him back. I thought he was going to be on TV tonight. No Von Wagner. So at least he wasn't the source of my frustration this week in that sense. So that was good. No Von Wagner this week, at least a fairly welcome reprieve in that sense. Not trying to be harsh. I'm just saying it's not working for me, at least my opinion, my 2 cents. Herman giving it a 7 as well. DJ a 7.5. Michael with a 9. Hey, kudos to you if you like it that much. Like we're all about respectfully disagreeing. If you thought it was a 9, more proud of you. I enjoy it. We're here to enjoy it. That's what we do when we did. I'm discussing why I didn't enjoy it that much. But saying it had a lot of moving parts. It was on a roll. Everything meant something. I don't think that's fair. I see these days everything means something. Whatever, if it means something good or bad, now it's another matter entirely. But everything means something. You got the characters are doing things, so that there's something said for that. Steven saying that Von will be here like Veer, not for a month. So maybe Von's new thing, but he'll be coming all the time, nonstop. Oh boy. So that said, not a bad show. I think, as you said, John, maybe coming out of it and a little bit of the dampener on the enjoyment, and that like people are very, very upset about the name change. But it was a very good main event. Not a bad show at any means. I do want to say, DJ, yes, they did announce for next week. It will be Toxic Attraction, Kaylee Ray, India Persia, and a 6-woman tag team match. They announced a bunch of things ahead of time as well, which is good. Just good to know what to look forward to. More for the Dusty Tag Team Classic there. Grizzly Veterans and Andre, and I think it's Buddy Howard or whoever it was. We even touched on everything. There's a pretty good match for Kaylee Ray and Ivy Nile. I mentioned that Kaylee got attacked by Mandy. Ivy won. So not naturally the person that would benefit from a win by being the champion didn't win. So maybe that's why I was at 6.5. Oh, that being said, not a bad. So John, you're getting asked.
Don't worry, DJ. I'll have the toaster next week, and I'll be like when Brock Lesnar had the briefcase up here. I'll be having the toaster.
I was supposed to be a toaster party. That sounds really bad. Boy. Well, whether it will be a toaster-worthy show next week or not, we'll be here to talk about it. And John and I are always here to talk about Raw on Mondays. Schedule permitting, we're here to talk about Robert and I are here to talk about SmackDown on Friday, which will be good to go this Friday. Schedule should permit this week, so that is good. Otherwise, the 2 Diamond Dudes on our main page cover all things AEW. Our new show, The Hot Tag, with some of the some great journalists all around the wrestling media world here, talking all things wrestling here. Dominic, does a great job kind of collaborating and getting the group together. So a new episode went up today. Make sure to check that out. But yes, here wrestling all those things and all of our interviews. I interviewed Matt Cardona and Amy Rose of Ring of Honor. Bill produced and interviewed Moose and Jonah, and many more available on all of our platforms. So that being said, John, and that just says it's toasty. Yes, we try to keep it nice and toasty here. Or on the flip side, we try to keep it. We try to do best one day present us with a toasty product. That being said, the world out there, the world outside is very toasty. It's very scary. But we try our best to do one thing above others. John, and can you tell me what that is?
Enjoy wrestling.
Indeed.